This is Colin McGuigan for IFLTV out in Miami, Florida. Delighted to be joined by Kody, Big Mommaerts.
Yes.
Mo, obviously, we're here for a massive fight week, so we'll speak about that briefly first. This is going to be a different type of piece for the viewers, so it's going to be a bit more about getting to know Big Mo, right? Because I feel like you've just kind of landed on the scene. No one really understands your story, gets your story.
Yeah.
So, first of all, Jake Paul, Anthony Joshua, how crazy is it to be a part of this event?
It's, you have some fights that come about that you never think can happen. And it might be because you never think they may be able to get a contract signed, or there may be a lot of politics behind it. This is one of those fights that I never thought would happen because on paper, why would it ever happen? But at the same time, I've learned not to doubt Jake Paul, and I've learned not to doubt Anthony Joshua also. They're two stars in their own respect, and if they want to get in the ring together, they want to get in the ring, and I think it's going to be a spectacle.
We will speak about how this fight came about for you, but we'll go right back to the start. Big Mo and ring announcing. Where does it begin?
I wish I had some story of like, oh yeah, I really wanted to be a ring announcer when all my life. Like, that was never it. So I was a college football player, and I was a business student, got my master's degree in business, and I was always a pretty good public speaker. Was raised by a former trial attorney that taught me how to speak at a young age, and so I was always kind of like pretty proficient at it. And when I got done playing football, a lot of times an athlete will go be like a pundit or an analyst for their sport, but I was kind of burnt out of football and basketball, but I did want to get into it. My friends were telling me to get into it, so I got into fighting and combat sports, became a commentator on the regional side, saw the ring announcer, thought, you know what, maybe I can do that, and then it kind of just took off.
In terms of early life for you, Mo, what was family life like for you? And like, I people don't know this, and I know it from you telling me, but you were like maybe 200 pounds more than what you are at the moment. Something crazy like that anyways.
Yeah. No, it's, I think I've lived a fairly interesting life. Grew up single father. I was raised in like a very academic household, but I also love sports. So sports and school basically consumed me my whole life. Ended up doing both in college and in grad school, which was awesome. I used to be way bigger. I've lost about 100 pounds. I don't know how much that translates to necessarily in stones. I think it's like 45 kilos or so. When I got done playing football, and then I've thankfully kept it off for the most part. So,
let's talk about being raised by a single father, because I guess you owe a lot to your dad, right?
Yes, most everything. It was part of the reason why I moved down here to Miami. By the way, welcome to Miami. I take care of him. He needs some advanced medical care, so there's great medical care here for seniors down here. So, no, I'm very family oriented, even though I don't come from a massive family. So my friends are my family. But yeah, being raised by him was the most important thing in my life. Learned everything from him. He basically homeschooled me beyond school. Like, I was always learning, always getting taught things. And I'm thankful for how I got brought up, because I think it's helped me be successful in the real world.
In terms of like your journey, did you ever foresee this kind of role at an early, or even at any? It's like, at what point did a ring announcer role become apparent to you?
It never necessarily became apparent. It was more so I always loved entertainment. I don't know, like growing up, like I think entertainment is important. And this is not meant to sound like sociological or philosophical, but I think entertainment is a really important part of society, because I think it's a way for people to just disengage from whatever BS is in their life, and they can enjoy something. Watching boxing is a form of entertainment. You go and you just get to enjoy something. And so that, I was always enamored by that, whether it would be acting or hosting or announcing or whatever. I always was kind of enamored with just entertaining people. But growing up, it seemed like why on earth would you pursue that type of thing? You hear it all the time. Like, why would you chase that? So few people can do it. And then, when school was over, I just, kind of came to the conclusion of like, all right, well, if someone's got to do it, why not be me? And I chose to pursue a form of entertainment that allowed me to do other things. And so ring announcing kind of created itself and created opportunities. And I just kind of rolled with it. And now it's all happened like way faster than I thought it would, if I'm being totally honest.
Let's touch on the first time you get a ring announcer role. How does that come about, and what was that process like for you?
Yeah, so I start out cold calling. So again, I have a business background, so I'm never afraid to cold call. And I cold called a lot of people, but I started on the regional side, and I cold called a promotion in Colorado called Sparta. They focus more MMA heavy, but they did have a boxing partner as well, in airtight boxing. And a lot of great fighters have come through them. I don't know how many of your viewers watch UFC, but Gaethje's fought with Corey Sandhagen's always around. Colorado was a big MMA zone, and it still is, and it was almost a farm system down there. Like, COVID changed a lot, but there used to be, not even say used to be, but even 5 years ago, there were a lot more regional farm leagues that people could go into for MMA, and Sparta was a great one. So I started working for them as a commentator, and I just saw the ring announcer, and I thought, you know what, I feel like I can do that. And I just kind of asked, and eventually they let me do it. And then through doing it, I had managers and coaches that were like, hey, you're not bad at this type of thing. And I was 24 at the time, trying to figure all this out. I was super young, which created obstacles for me in getting opportunities. But I just kept with it. I chose to brand myself as Big Mo. Like, Big Mo is not something I ever thought would stick. The whole point of Big Mo was to just be an easier thing for people to remember me by while I was gaining work. I thought I was going to ditch Big Mo years ago, but it's just kind of stuck. So I'm like, fuck it, I'll just leave it. Used to wear sunglasses in the ring for the same reason. Like, I was just trying to get out there and get myself presented to people, and truthfully, it worked.
In terms of the major, I know you speak about like in Colorado, this kind of thing, but the first major event, how did that come around?
So the first major event I did was Eddie Hall versus Hafthor Bjornsson when they fought in Dubai. I remember IFL covered a lot of it. That's the first time I ever ran into Coogan. That was the first big show that was going to get a lot of global viewership that I did. I had done big regional shows that sold well, and a few thousand people that were there and things like this, but this was the first time I was doing something that really was going to be watched by a lot of people. And I remember I cold called the promoter and I said, hey, if you're going to have the biggest fight with the biggest guys, you're going to need the biggest ring announcer, because you can't have a guy that's 5'5" in there with these dudes that are 6'9" and 6'3" and 400 pounds. And that was basically my sales pitch, and it worked. And they flew me out there, and I did it. And I don't know if you guys remember it, but it was big. Got watched by a lot of people. I remember the site crashed. That was a lot. And that was the show where Boxer and Sky kind of found me.
So fast forward a little bit, you end up on Boxer and Sky, right? How does that materialize in the role that it became for you, and the role that I'm saying with Boxer that it still kind of is? I know you're here this week at MVP, but you still have that connection with Boxer.
Yeah, no, look, I work for everybody, and the reason why is like I said, I like entertaining people, and so the excuse me, the position with Sky was great because Sky is very creative also, and they understand what I was trying to accomplish with the job, which was I wanted to help the show more than anything else. Don't get me wrong, I am just an accessory to the show. I care about the entertainment piece. I care about when people watch the event, that they enjoy it, that they feel captivated by it, that the people that bought tickets see that they get their money's worth. So I'm just a part of the show. But Sky really valued, and Boxer values, a lot of the production of their show and things like that, so that opened opportunities for me to kind of accelerate my role in what I was doing. And then that kind of took off, and I blink, and I'm in the ring with Clarissa Shields and Savannah Marshall on ESPN and Sky, and did my first Undisputed World title when I was 26. It's crazy how it's all kind of pieced together.
So this kind of, you become Big Mo, right? You become quite well known in the UK. You're up there as one of the top ring announcers, right? I'd say there's a group of 4 or 5. You're in that group, right? Whenever you look at then Netflix coming along, you get Jake Paul against Mike Tyson. How does that first contact even come about?
So the first contact was actually for Anderson Silva versus Jake Paul. But that was at a time, as we all know, there was a time where a lot of the networks weren't working together. This was before DAZN and Sky were open and talking to each other. This was before the Saudis got involved in His Excellency. And so I didn't want to muddy any waters. And so that fight was going to be on DAZN, and I valued the Sky relationship. I was young as the first show. I was big network I was with. So I just didn't want to mess around with that. So that fight ended up not happening. But I kept in connection with MVP, and obviously they continued to grow. And then I get a call. I was actually at a bachelor party in Tulum, Mexico. I was on a boat, and the matchmaker Mike calls me. He's like, "Hey, we're gonna do Paul versus Tyson." I go, "Okay, well, you know what's good is all the networks are working together now." And he goes, "No, this is on Netflix." And I was like, "Oh." I was like, "Okay, that's different. That's new. I'd never thought of that, never heard of that. No one had ever heard of that. Netflix had never even done a live event at the time." So I go, "Wow, amazing." And then obviously accepted. Few weeks pass and Mike gets an ulcer. And I'm like, well, there it is. That was cool. At least they offered it. I was bummed because I thought it was over at that point. Because what I've learned about the sport of boxing, and this, until they're standing in the ring, I never really believe it's going to happen. So when something gets postponed or rescheduled, I kind of just, if it happens, cool. But I was bummed. I was like, damn, that would have been massive and mega. And then obviously Mike recovers and they get it back on. And had great communication with Netflix. They liked what I was doing. They wanted someone kind of new to do it all. And so I was honored for that. And my relationship with Netflix has been stellar ever since. This will be the third fight I've done for them. They've done 4. I wasn't able to do Canelo Crawford, but I was able to do Paul Tyson, Taylor Serrano 3, and now Paul Joshua. So my relationship with Netflix has been amazing. They're incredible to work with.
Do you have, and I know this probably sounds a bit stupid, but do you have that kind of look? You look towards Michael Buffer as a real trailblazer for you in this role? Yeah,
look, I get asked that, periodically, like what MCs or announcers do you like, or who do you look up to? And my answers have always been the same. I think the Buffers are the gold standard, in my opinion. I think Bruce and Michael, in their own respect, in their own lane, are the best MCs in the world, are the best announcers in the world, and I can absolutely say that they are ultimately, literally a trailblazer in the way of, I'm trying to do my own thing, go my own route, but the whole reason why the ring announcer is looked at as an important piece of the puzzle is because of what Michael and Bruce ultimately deliver to the events that they announce for. So absolutely.
Do you ever have any interaction with them?
I've exchanged emails with Bruce. Actually never met Michael, which surprises a lot of people, but the reality of the job is it's a very individualistic job. And so for most shows, there's just one person there. Occasionally, Michael has someone that, opens an undercard and things like that for him. Jimmy Lennon Jr. does that occasionally, but for the most part, it's one guy or one woman. So I've had actually very limited interaction with other ring announcers because most of the time I'm by myself and riding solo anyway.
In terms of your legacy in this role, you're quite early on. You know, in terms of all these ring announcers, and without throwing any shade, they're all a lot older than you. You're half the age of all of these guys, really. Do you see this as a long-term kind of role, the future for Big Mo? Absolutely.
Look, I want to do a lot of other things in entertainment. I want to try my hand at a lot of things. I think I have various skill sets, and I think announcing and emceeing is perfect for what I do. I'm a perfectionist. I'm OCD. I like being perfect and not making mistakes, which is important for my job. But at this point, I want to do this for the rest of my life. I love the sport of boxing. I think the sport of boxing is the greatest sport in the world by a pretty significant margin. And my second favorite sport is MMA, which also needs an announcer. So I love combat sports, and I always want to be around it. And ever since I got in, what I've said is I want to be a conduit to help combat sports grow, because I have a different role than a lot of people. So in my opinion, if I can become an asset within the industry and help the industry of boxing by doing whatever, bringing in whoever, then I want to do that. I want to help everybody involved because I want everyone to enjoy the sport that is going to be on Friday night in front of, 60, 80, 100 million people, depending on how many people watch it.
Well, it is a crazy show on Saturday, and with the way that this is going to go out, I'm not going to ask you how you think it goes. I'm not going to ask you about that fight itself, but in terms of you and your legacy as a ring announcer, how do you want to be remembered when it's all said and done? Because people look at Buffer, right? Yeah. And they look at how iconic he's been in this sport, in this space, and that he is a living legend, right? What do you want your legacy to end? And that's the way I'll end this interview. What does Kody Mommaerts want his legacy to be? Not just in boxing, but in life.
That's a good question. I wasn't expecting Wasn't expecting the philosophical question, Colin. This is good. I don't know, man. Like, honestly, above anything else, I want to be looked at as someone that, pursued something, even if it was super niche, and show that if you put passion behind something, you can create something cool. What I've kind of tried to tell people is that if I was able to become a professional ring announcer, which is about as damn near niche as you can find, then in theory, then anyone can kind of do anything. And that's, that sounds elementary or trivial, but at the same time, I've been able to do a lot of things because I've simply put forward an initiative to want to try it, want to explore, want to see different things. So I want that to be a legacy for me personally, and then professionally in the sport of boxing. If I could do anything, I want to help elevate boxing back to being the most popular sport in the world. I've been very blessed to see what boxing can do when it really nails it. Like, 1 year ago, I was in front of 72,000 people and 100 million people watching globally. Boxing, when it gets it right, is just nothing beats it. It's the biggest sport in the world. And I think in recent times, it's had tribulations and it's had a lot of BS within the industry, and there's a lot of things that have maybe held it back. But if I can do anything to help the sport of boxing is from a show standpoint, because I'm not a boxer, I can't really control the fight, not a ref, not a judge, can't do anything there. But my lane of entertainment, my lane of captivating a crowd and getting people interested or involved, if I can do that, and if I can have that be my legacy and help the sport of boxing that way, then I can wipe my hands and be happy.
What an incredible answer. Mo, it's unbelievable to get to know you, but also for the viewers, and I think we definitely need to do a part 2 of this at some point. But again, thank you for your time on IFLTV, and you've came a long way from that Thor fight in Dubai where you see Kody for the first time.
No, dude, I appreciate it. It's funny because, like, you and I have become friends on the road, and we're always parallel. It feels like we're always like 5 minutes, 10 minutes away from each other because we're both living in different lanes and doing different things. It's like anytime I'm in one country, you might be in the same country, but you're 50 miles away. It's like, well, damn, I missed you again. So it took you to actually come to my new home in Miami to do this, but this is long overdue. I appreciate it. The first interview I ever did was on IFL, where I got hired by Sky, and now I get to do a recap almost a few years later. So I appreciate the friendship, appreciate all you guys that watch. I realize that I'm kind of new to all this, and I'm trying to pave my own way, but I appreciate the love and support that I get from people. So thank you very much.
Big Mo, thanks for your time.